What's good?
Yo,
What's the deal?
my man got the LED lights and everything.
I'm chilling. I'm in my studio right now.
I like it. I like it. Does your hat say "Make America Great"? Is that why you got it on backwards?
Fuck no. Hell no, man. I got on a Rock Nation hat.
There you go. I haven't seen that one. Is it different?
Oh, this joint? This joint.
Okay.
Yeah. They actually did these ones for Nipsey.
Okay. So you got the exclusive ones. I know what you're talking about. He did it
Oh,
with
nah, man.
It was a collaboration he did with
With Emery.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good, man. I cannot complain. You know, with everything going on, I'm not going to complain, as a matter of fact. Not that I can't.
Nobody wants to hear all that.
Yeah, it's legitimate complaints that could be put in, but it's, you know, what can I do, man? I'm doing all right in life, so I ain't gonna waste my time.
Yes, sir. Bro, I've known you for about 4 years.
Right.
Correct. And I've seen your elevation from manager, behind the scenes,
right,
and front, but still behind the scenes.
Right. Absolutely.
Which do you prefer?
Man, I ain't gonna lie. Like, I really wanted to be behind the scenes. I really wanted to be a behind the scenes dude that was rich that nobody knew. Like, I wanted to be the dude that I could walk anywhere and nobody knew me. But I actually prefer being on camera now because I make more money. But you know what I'm saying? But you know, I do enjoy behind the scenes work. I still do behind the scenes work that I don't put my name in front of and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm just more worried about, not worried, but I'm just more concerned with getting things done as opposed to just speaking about them.
What was more of a hands-on case study? Your role with Dave East as the manager, or your role with Rocafella Records?
My role at Rocafella Records. I feel like, you know, without my role at Rocafella Records, I wouldn't have been able to do all the stuff I did with East later on. And even with that, I learned a lot on the job. But like, my time, that was still kind of like my childhood being at Rocafella. Like, you know, when you're in your 20s, everybody looks at it like you're an adult, but you really like, if you mentally you're an adolescent, you still gonna make those young decisions. So it's like, for me, that was the case study, because when I became a man and started to handle the business, I was like, oh, well, I already learned all of this then, or I know how to do this because I was around that. So I say Rocafella, you know.
What was your exact title with Rocafella?
I was an assistant A&R.
Okay.
So I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I did way more than I got paid for. You know what I mean? I did way more than I got paid for. But my job duties was basically I was A&R for state property. That entailed, like, you know, working with everybody. The ones that I really worked on, that products that came out, was the book Coming for Beanie Sigel, the Young Gun's first album, the Public Enemy mixtape, the state property, 2 Chain Gang album. I worked on all of those. And then I did, like, just being at Rocafella, I did A&R admin. So like, I did admin work on Jay-Z Blueprint 2. I did admin work on College Dropout. I did admin work on a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, when you talk about that, just the Chain Gang, you talk about College Dropout, you talk about Blueprint. I feel like that's just like a 2000 to 2004, excuse my French, clusterfuck. It was just so much stuff put out at one time. No disrespect to the artists. We were just blessed with so much content. Yeah,
I mean, the thing was, it was that, like, they really was built off of hunger, man. Like, one thing about Rocafella, a lot of situations is pacified, but if you wanted to get your album out, if you wanted to get your mixtape out, if you wanted to get your single out, you really had to, you had to prove yourself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whether that be making a mixtape and playing it for Jay and them, or making, like, the Young Guns. I did they mixtape too, The Youngest in Charge. I did that. And me, my man Ramsey, we found Can't Stop, Won't Stop. You know, you had to prove yourself if you wanted to get money or you wanted to get recognition. You know what I'm saying?
As a guy like myself who comes from, you know, the NBA and a reporting background, I'm not, you know, oblivious to the music side during my time at the Source. However, there's certain cues. I'm not reading anything. This is really coming to mind as this organic conversation, but if it needs to be said. one of the unwritten rules that, or one of the things many reporters said was that when you got Kobe grinning, sitting back in his chair and telling you that it was a good question, that's how you knew you got him.
Right, right.
With Jay, from a business perspective, what are those cues that you know you have his full and undivided attention?
Oh man, I can't specifically say that, like, cause like my time around Jay, like I never forgot every conversation we've ever had. I've always remembered, but like I didn't really get that like approval until I started working on the E shit. You know what I mean? Like not approval, cause we was cool and like, but I didn't do business when I was a worker. You know what I'm saying? Right. I wasn't in the conference room. The only thing I was in the conference room was for staff meetings. I never was in no big crazy meetings. I never tried to front and act like I was doing more than I was. But like when I started working with East, Lenny wanted to sign him. Lenny S wanted to sign him to Roc Nation, and it was gonna be like a Roc Nation mass appeal thing with Jay-Z and Nas. And I went to the office. And like me and Jay talked for like 30 minutes, and his whole conversation was just about, end of the day, like Jay got all the money in the world. He don't need me for nothing. Like he just was like, yo, like, you know, because there's a relationship between us and you got something going, I want to make sure that you're in the best position possible to make the money, because these dudes that's in these buildings is not going, they going to wave little money in front of you. They not never going to show you the real money. You know what I mean? So he like, my thing is that I want to make sure that you're in a position that your kids ain't got to worry about it. Your moms ain't got to, you know what I mean? Like, it's more about him trying to help me at that point. Cause I proved myself, you know what I mean? Like I proved that by them letting me a part of what they had going on early, that I did it, because there was a lot of people down in Rocafella. It was a lot of people. It's not a lot of people they talk about. You know what I mean? But it was a lot of people that worked there. It was a lot of people in the studio, a lot of people in the office that didn't, they don't get a lot of the recognition that they deserve, because after Rocafella, they never really did much, you know?
Yeah, no, that's valid. And Rocafella Records, to me, you know, was the original Chicago Bulls in the 90s. I'm glad that The Last Dance came out so people could really see the dynasty that the Bulls were. Yeah. Jay-Z had to tell you it was a dynasty. That's why there was a Dynasty compilation album that wasn't even his. But I guess my question is, state property gets lost in translation a lot, because I believe they weren't New York cats, but they were the backbone of Rocafella, being from Philly. You and I have often had conversations off camera about just the connection that we have to Philly, me going to school out that way, you being back and forth with Chris Meath and Beanie and stuff like that. What is something about state property that people should know that they don't know?
That they really good. All of them are really good guys. You know what I mean? They really, like, I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, I'm taking out like any beefs that any of them have had with each other.
Sure.
A lot of people don't know. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't know that they're just really genuinely good people. The reason why they never really rose to what everybody had the expectations of is because ultimately they didn't understand business. They didn't understand business. You know what I mean? Like, and it's hard to transition, because all these dudes is fresh off the block. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I done been to every one of their neighborhoods. They really come from some tough circumstances, and when you mix that in with making money and not really learning the business, the money you're attaining is purely off of your talent, but you're not taking the time to learn, that's when you get, you know, like you said, a clusterfuck. You know what I mean? Like, that's when you get a bunch of stuff that's just misdirected, or nobody knows where they want to be led because they can't even lead themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Is the business of music harder now or then?
To me, it's virtually the same. I think before, like, it's virtually the same. Because the thing about it is like, one thing about the music industry is the music industry will always adapt. So it's like, I see, like, you know, like Steve Stout saying, oh, if Drake went totally independent, then it would end the music industry. And I'm not pro label at all. but I just understand from a business standpoint, they will always adjust. Like, the people who run the business is not niggas from the hood. It's people that understand business and logistics on another level. So it's like, oh, if that shifts, we'll shift with that, or we'll figure out our way in there. So I don't really think that the business is tougher. Now, it's tougher to break artists now. I say that.
Why?
Because it's an oversaturation of artists. Like, think about when artists was putting out music, like, independently. Like, if you was an independent artist back in the days, you couldn't put your shit in Tower Records. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't put your shit in Virgin Megastore to sell, or S&M, or whatever them stores was that they used to sell CDs.
H&M. S&M is different.
It's H&M? Not, it was an H&M.
Yes.
There was a music store, well, whatever.
Yeah.
So now everybody can be on the same. Like, you might not get a playlist look, but I could make my son rap tomorrow and put him on Spotify. I could put him on YouTube. I could put him on Apple Music. I could put him on anything. So it's like, but it's a sea. It's like, okay, there's more sea than there is land in the world, right? So
yeah,
how do you stand out in that? Like, if you're a fucking raindrop, where do you fit in? You know what I'm saying? Like, where do you fit in? You better be a special raindrop. So it's like, that's the tough part now. You know what I mean? Like, just figuring out how to break artists, and artists break from all types of different avenues now, but a lot of times it's more the presentation, not specifically the music, you know?
No, go ahead.
But I just feel like it's kind of always been that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of always been that. Like I think about, like, Andre 3000. Everybody knew he could rap. He was wearing Atlanta Braves jerseys and hats, but then when he started dressing different, everybody was like, oh, he on some weird shit, but he was rapping better than everybody. So it's like, you know, that's how he stood out. Everybody can't do that.
Would you say that Kanye West was ahead of that curve by wearing the polos? But
not by wearing polos now. Not by wearing polos. Hey, niggas been wearing polo. I wouldn't say by that. I
produced.
Not even that. He's the first artist to say. He's the first artist to be on a street label and say, I'm not a street nigga. Like, he's the first person to be, like, in an uncomfortable, like, bro, I got his pictures with Kanye taking pictures with state property and he looking over everybody's shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, he's the first artist to say, I'm going to totally stand on my art. I'm going to stand on my name and my art because it's better than everybody else's, and it's not about me being a tough guy. Like, he made it cool to be yourself. I feel like he's the person that made it super cool to be yourself, no matter if you was from the street or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was a neutralizer in that regard. You have people in your DMs all day shopping music, telling you, check out my DM. They're in the comments now. Mm-hmm. You talked about being a special kind of raindrop. I guess I'm going to take that and flip it. What made Dave East, in your mind, a special kind of raindrop? And I counter that by asking, how do others become that special kind of raindrop? I
mean, he just rapped different than what I was hearing at the time. You know, like, not his content was the same. He wasn't rapping no different than I say. Like, at that time, it was my man Dub Aura, One Shot. It was a lot of people, Trey Pizzies, a lot of people coming up. You know, there was a lot of people coming up in the city at that time, but for him, it's just like his wordplay was just a little different. He's taller than everybody. He had a different story than everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's all it really was.
No, man, you're bringing up bars. Do you think the best way for artists, do you think SoundCloud is overrated or oversaturated? What is the best way or traditional way that still applies in the social media era to get people's attention?
SoundCloud is not. The thing is like, people gotta, like, a lot of people say, like, it's just so crazy how, like, we shit on everything. I don't have a problem with SoundCloud for the specific reason that it's people, mothers that can't afford to give their kids $10 a month to listen to Apple Music or to have a premium family account on Spotify to pay $20. Everybody moms can't, like, for kids, you know what I mean? Everybody moms can't do that. So SoundCloud, I'll listen, like, if somebody sends me a link, I'll listen to whatever the link is. I don't really have a preference in that space. But I think that, you know, for the growing or up and coming artist, you have to have some sort of tools that you can use. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to have some sort of tools. If SoundCloud is your tool and you use it for what it's worth, you know what I mean? It's just a hustle. Like if that's what you if that's the platform that you choosing to hustle the best on because it's a free platform, then you hustle there. If you can upgrade your shit and put it on another platform and pay some more money to get third-party playlisting or more somebody to work it digital and they could work it on other platforms, then you do that too. But I don't like shun no platforms just for the simple fact that everybody can't pay for the same things. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean that everybody shouldn't be entitled to put their art on there.
You talked about the fact that you like the indie hustle. What artist currently is the best version of an indie working with inside of a major?
I don't know, bro, because it's not that I'm like such a big fan. The difference between independence and major, there's no real big difference for real. The difference is this: independent labels is the same as major labels. They just take less of a percentage of what they trying to sell. So people be like, oh, everybody thinks that independent means they going and they wilding and spending money. That's not independence. Independent company, most independent companies are just companies that's like, okay, the major label, if they'll give you $500,000, they're gonna want a 360 that puts in place a term that they can make money off of everything you want, because they want to make money off their investment. You're an investment. They're not giving you an advance because you're a special, like because they like you or you their friend. They want to make money off you and with you. Now with an independent company, it's the same thing. They just like, yo, we can't give you 500. The most I could give you is 50,000, but I need shelters on this. Like I need to make money off of this and that and that and this. Like it's the same, almost the same structure. You know what I mean?
How did your experience help you in your role as VP of Asylum Records, and what did you have to learn on the job that you didn't know?
What I really learned over the past, because I've been there for a year now, I understood deals from a manager's perspective, because when I worked at Rocafella, I never worked on nobody's deals. I never signed nobody at Rocafella. You know what I'm saying? So I never worked on nobody's deals. I worked the product. I worked the artist in the studio. When I worked my management company, I handled it like I was a label. So I would deliver to the independent company that we worked with all the deliverables. I would make sure that I'm handing in the lyrics. I'm dealing with the producers that we could get the producer agreement. So I handled it independent in that sense. With working for Asylum, I had to learn deal structure. Like the thing about this game is like, for black people, yeah, this is our culture. We can sit in the studio for hours. We know how to make records. We know how to market the records, all of that. But a lot of us, and I'll say this, a lot of us don't know the business. Just because you in the studio and you in the studio 24/7 and you make records and you give it to the person, like I had to learn everybody's job. So like I'm the second in command at Asylum. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta know how my DSP person pitches the records. I have to know how my person in publicity is pitching the artist for publicity. I have to, and their relationships. And if I can help with that, I have to know my digital person and what strategies they coming up with. My product managers, I gotta know. That's the difference now. It's like I had to learn everybody's job, but before it was just like, I wouldn't say it was selfish, but all I had to do was do me, because I'm making a percentage off of an artist as opposed to signing and curating careers now. You know what I'm saying?
You know, the way I'm hearing you talking from a music perspective is a conversation that I had with the late Stuart Scott over 12 years ago.
Wow.
Stuart Scott said to me at VH1, a friend of mine worked at VH1, and she said, yo, come by, Stuart Scott said, I want you to meet him. And Stu and I sat in after he did a session where he was just pre-recording a ton of stuff. And he talked about how he made his mistakes out of market before he made to ESPN. So he learned what the guy who runs the teleprompter does. He learns what the camera guy does. He learned how to shoot packages in the field and then come back and edit them. He learned how to write the script.
Right.
He learned how to book guests.
Right.
So then when he's on Sports Center, God rest his soul, if the teleprompter guy who's new doesn't know his cadence, mind you, Stewart had one eye because he had one glass eye.
Yeah, the glass eye.
He knew how to adjust because he knew the point guard's job, the shooting guard, the small forward, the power forward, right. All positions on the floor.
Right.
So when you talked about that, I think that's an invaluable skill because everybody just wants to be on camera. Nobody wants to do the contracts. Nobody wants to be the chauffeur. Everybody just wants to be seen.
It's crazy you said because like I do this every day. Like I'm talking about, I send deals out every week. Some get signed, some don't. You got to know, and the thing about in the music industry is you have to, like, it's all about timing and spacing. Because, like, if there's an artist, like, there's an artist that I'm on, right? I'm like, yo, I want to sign this kid. His deal might be worth $100,000 on Monday. By Friday, it could be 500. So if I don't, I work closely with our lawyers, like, and that's the thing about the business that, like, it's a big difference, and it's a real big difference in how you handle things when you know when you're a part of the backline business or you're part of creative, because those are two different portions of the business. The people who run the business can't do creative. That's why they hire people. But the people that's in creative, you'll get a record and make these people $50 million, and all you're gonna get is a little point off the record. So you gotta, like, the thing about being in the music business, and this is why I be telling people, because people come to me every day. My DM is filled up, my text messages, my email, all of that, and they talk about how much they want to do this because they passionate about music. But if you passionate about music, you gotta be working with somebody that's passionate about business. Because if you can't align the two, you ain't never gonna make nothing out of this shit. Nothing ever. I promise you that. And it's not personal. That's another thing. It's not personal.
When growing up, Full House was a show that was our generation's show. And oftentimes when you looked at guys like Uncle Jesse, who was downstairs in the basement playing the guitar, you looked at him like he was an old man. Get over yourself, get over your dream. I think that was looked at from a hip-hop lens. Because in hip-hop, it's not an old man's game.
Yeah, it's not an old man's game. It's not. But see, the larger, it's crazy that you say that. The larger conversation that we have, and I think it's not, because hip hop is, I say it's black people shit. But the thing about it is that we're so negative towards each other that we could keep the flame going for one another. That's why I think that Versus is like one of the best things that could ever happen. Because it keeps the conversation or the idea of the artist that came before the artist now alive. It's like, I don't expect like the Gunna hardcore Gunna fan to listen to DMX, but they parents could school them on what DMX was and what Snoop Dogg was, and I think, like, instead of looking at it like, all these old niggas, who cares about this shit? Nah, like, y'all don't understand that that's gonna be y'all one day. Like, do you remember the day when Swiss Beats said he wants to create a fund that, like, all the young artists contribute to that fund?
Yeah. And
there was people that like, why? So what? Why would we? That's why as a people we be in the position we in. That's why. Because a person won't think for 5 seconds about a $400,000 watch. But let's say the fund was, if you making, let's say you in hip hop and you grossing $3 million, you grossing $5 million a year or some shit, and your fee to this pot is $5,000 for the $5 million you made. All you had to do is put up 5 G's. That's gonna help somebody that came before you one day. Why not? Nah, because I don't know them. They ain't help me. That's our mentality, and that's why people be stuck the way they stuck, and we be looking at everybody, but they stick together, and we, like, it gets real deeper, but you know what I'm saying?
You know what it reminds me of? It's number one, that 5,000 you speak of is nothing more than union dues.
That's nothing.
That's union dues. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was just about to say, it's not. I just look at, I don't feel like nobody should comment on or critique what anybody who works hard spends their money on. I'm not with that. If you worked hard, you could go buy a helicopter with nowhere to fly to. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it. That's your money. Do it. All I'm saying is that when we start talking about the underlying issues and us as a people, black people, brown people who make this culture what it is on a creative spectrum and from a legacy and all of that, we don't take care of each other. And if we did, like, if a person that make if you make $5 million, you can't give $5,000 for somebody. Yeah, you might not know them, but that contributes to a person. You know what I mean? That contributes to a person that came before you, and a person that's coming behind you is going to do the same thing for you. Yeah. But that's too much because it's their money, and you know what I mean.
So last week I had one of the NBA Players Association has the NBPA, the National Basketball Players Association.
I know about that.
So Michelle Roberts is the executive director. Then you have Chris Paul as the president. Then you have 6 vice presidents, Kyrie being one of them, Chris Paul, CJ McCollum, Bismack Biyombo, and Andre Iguodala, a bunch of other people. So I was on a show today, and they were asking me about the NBA Players Association. So I had spoken to Bismack last week. I wrote something yesterday, column at heavy.com. And what I learned is the Retired Players Association as a union had been around since the 50s. In 1983, the NBA and the Retired Players Association created the salary cap. And if you know about the salary cap, you know that means at a certain point, a team can't spend a certain amount of money without paying a luxury tax. In your lifetime, could you see something in hip-hop similar where it becomes unionized, you have a president, multiple vice presidents, and you have people advocating on their behalf?
No.
Damn.
No. I can't. Because selfishness, man. Hip-hop is a very selfish culture, yo. It's a very selfish culture. It's a very unforgiving, unthankful, like, everybody is dog eat dog. And it's eat what you kill. So it's like, I mean, I would love for that to happen. I would love for that to happen, but it's just like me knowing the nature of people, specifically men, you know what I mean, and how they operate and shit, and that can't happen, man.
Somebody in the comments said, "Isn't that what label is?" I disagree.
It's what is?
The label is.
No, that's the see. This is what people don't understand, man, and this is the reason why I said niggas get it fucked up. Excuse my language, but they get it fucked up when it comes to things like this, man, because a union, like, the label is like a glorified bank, right? Hip hop is the only business where people go into it not knowing the business and want everything. Oh, the label should do that. You don't even know who you're dealing with. These is Fortune 500 companies. I say it again. Fortune 500 companies. For the people who's watching that don't know what a Fortune 500 company is, don't even look. I just remember all the labels I told you. All the labels you think about: Republic, Def Jam, Interscope, Warner, all Island, all of them. Now go look at all other Fortune 500 companies. Hip hop is the only place where everybody feel like you should give me everything without me achieving anything. That's why I equated to sports so much. Because imagine a player that's in the NBA that says, "Yo, man, I feel like I should get a max contract," right? I feel like I should get a max contract. And now the money is so ridiculous, everybody gets all these crazy contracts because it's more about performance as opposed to this to winning. But you've never been to the playoffs in 7 years. You've never achieved anything. We've invested all this money in you. Yeah, you sell tickets, but like ultimately, we're trying to reach the top of our goal. Should we invest that money in you? No. Should we invest the money? And especially if you're an asshole that people don't like. And that's what hip hop is filled with. A bunch of asshole little kids who don't want to learn business and don't want to understand how to do business. They want all the money in the world. And every time they mess up and they just come back like, yo, the label should give me this because I'm dope. The label should give me that. I should have this from the label. I should have that. But when did you win a ring? When did you go to the playoffs? What did you have to sell? I think that the biggest problem with music business is that people forget that they have to sell records. Like, yeah, you want to get on, but once you get signed and all that, that's when the work starts. They be feeling like, I could do the bare minimum. You know what I mean? And that's why I said, and get by. And that's the thing. It's like, but then you put yourself. Then you sign a deal, you sign your deal, and you get into you put yourself in a bare minimum situation, and you're doing the bare minimum, and then you done took all this money. The label never got none of their money back, and now when you want to leave and all that, they like, all right, but we own all of this, and you like, how you own that? You be like, well, you never recouped, so we got to keep this so that we can make our money back off our investment.
Yeah.
That's why I said people have to start learning the business, yo. Everybody feels like they man, they cousin, they mom, they pops, they sister is the best. Yo, I got my man is the best. He's better than him. It's not about that. You need to learn the business. Because if you go buy a house, when you go to sign on that dotted line for a mortgage, you have to know the business of the business that you're getting into so that you can have and maintain this house and own it one day. If you don't maintain it or own it, guess who owns it? The bank.
The bank.
And if you can't pay me for it, then I can sell your house. You got to get out. They don't understand that, though. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. To me, that's like understanding salary cap, knowing the difference between an unrestricted free agent and a restricted free agent, knowing the bird rights. You're a basketball guy, so I'm speaking English to you.
Oh, absolutely.
But for certain people, they may not understand any of that.
They don't. And the thing is, but that's why you can always do something else. See, the thing about it is that, you know, the thing about hip hop, and like I even struggle. Sometimes I even struggle with that too, because while I don't promote violence or, you know, negativity or nothing, but hip hop is a very negative genre. It's a very negative genre of music. We celebrate the same things that make us cry in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? When an artist, like, I think about this all the time. I love Big Drip by Fabio Foreign. What's the biggest line on that song? Send me the Addy, I'm hunting them down. That happened to Pop Smoke. They caught the Addy, they hunting them down. Now we in despair. So it's like, it's a big tug of war morally sometimes. You know what I'm saying? It's a real big tug of war morally.
When you write your book?
I don't know, man. I don't know where to start. The first thing about it, I am starting a podcast though. For the people who have been in tune, you know, I started a podcast before all this COVID shit hit. You know, I got my own space, I got my own podcast studio, I got my own recording studio. I started the podcast, but you know, we wasn't able to like really solidify the business of it because I don't want to do a Zoom podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not what it's gonna be. But I am rolling out a lot of different content. I have learned a lot of things from my peers who is academics in the desk, and they've taught me a lot about creating content and doing stuff. And that's my next wave. I'm getting into that game heavy. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely going to work on some things where people can hear my voice, you know?
I got a question. So a lot of times, you know, I feel like the rapper starter kit is, okay, I sell drugs, I move CDs out the trunk. CDs don't exist anymore, right? For someone who is in that life, how much does a rapper need from that life to check out and to fund their own stuff?
We mean as far as like, oh, being in it, like if they in the streets and all of that?
Like if you're in the streets and then you check out. Yeah. Is it 100,000 the number?
$100,000, and you know, no disrespect to nobody who don't make that type of money, but $100,000 ain't no money. That ain't no money for nothing. Just to be living, that shit ain't no money. Like, and I'm not even talking about living on a luxurious level. It's hard to live off of $100,000 paying taxes. You know what I'm saying? I'll say like, it ain't even, yo, ultimately, it's not about, because I got a lot of homies that's in the street that's trying to make that transition. It's not about the money, it's about the commitment. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice? A lot of people not willing to sacrifice their lifestyles. like for myself, I was willing. The reason why I got in the position I am today is because I took so many L's trying for other people. Like, I tried to get so many other, like, once Rocafella and all that fell apart, I tried to get, I had accepted that music wasn't good. I was like, at one point in time, I'm like, music is not going to be my career. So I have children. I need to be able to take care of them. I had fully on accepted that I was going to have to get a job. And I dropped out of school in the 9th grade. And I don't have any trade skills. I don't have any, like, things to fall back on. So the basic jobs I could get is anything where I could drive, push, or pull. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just was like, I tried to get those jobs and it didn't work out for me. So my decision was like, yo, I'm tired of other people being in control of me wanting to make money that I want to make, or me wanting to be successful. And I gave myself a shot, and I call it my smartest and dumbest decision all at once. Because no rational thinking person would make a decision that I made at 30 years old, my 3rd kid on the way, living in the projects, to not go get a job after they got laid off. But I did it, and it worked. Now, I advise anybody to follow their own path. Their path not going to be mine. But that, like you said about like how much, there's no amount of money, you know what I mean, that's enough. I think that it's about an internal commitment that you're willing to make. If you're in the streets, and first of all, if you're in the streets, you don't want to be in the streets for most people. And if you're making them type of decisions and you want to get past those decisions, you got to say, yo, I might be getting this type of money off the streets and this, that, and third. I'm willing to leave that alone for what I really want to do. If you're not willing to do that, it's never going to work. You can't be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Because everybody that's 1 foot up, 1 foot out goes to jail or they die. You know what I mean? You got to say, I'm totally leaving this type of lifestyle alone. And this is what I'm going to go towards, you know?
You're one of the hosts of Everyday Struggle. And you replaced, or you were the guy after a couple of people who you have a lot of respect for. There's no ill will. I know you guys are cool. Yeah. I guess my question is, for a guy who dropped out of school to be on TV, reading a teleprompter, you're doing better than some newscasters. When you look at the fact that you didn't finish high school and you're on television doing what you got to do, you're not pushing or pulling. That's pretty successful. I
mean, yeah, but you know what? My recognition for that came way before I even got on that show. Aside from my children, my greatest accomplishment, maybe after my children, is making it to 30 years old with no felonies. You know what I'm saying? Being a black man coming where I come from poverty for real. And I don't say that like, you know how people always want to joke, oh, I'm from the trenches, I'm from the this, I'm from the that. Listen, man, I grew up in a place where there's nothing to look forward to coming outside every day. Now how hard that is, you get up every day as a black man, you got the police fucking with you for no reason. People in your neighborhood, they own you for whatever reason, or they ain't messing with you this time. Then you trying to get a job in the midst of that. I don't have no, like I said, I'm very educated, but I don't have an academic background. My biggest, when I turned 30, I sat in my kitchen and cried just because I made it to 30 without no felonies. I got one of my friends, he just came home from doing, well, he did 15 years. Another one of my friends did 14. Some of my friends is coming home this year for shit that happened when we was teenagers. So, like, for me to be in the position I am, that's why, like, it don't even, the everyday struggle shit, the asylum shit, it don't even be hitting me like that. Because that's not what I really, I just wanted to make my moms proud. You know what I mean? Like, I just wanted my moms and my dad to be proud of me, that I ain't, I ain't dead on the grave. You know what I'm saying? I mean, dead on in jail. My biggest thing was, like, all of this stuff, that's why I'm never late for nothing. I'm never late for nothing. If there's anything anybody ever needs from me, I always show up. I always go the extra miles because I'm in a very privileged position, and I don't take that for granted. You know what I'm saying? So all the accolades and all that to me is secondary. This is a responsibility more than anything. It ain't even about the show. End of the day, it's about me being blessed with a responsibility.
Tell me something. You talked about dropping out, corporate position, executive position. You cried at 30 because you made it. I guess my question is, during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I can speak for myself. For 15 years, I've been in and out. College, the road, and more. This is the most I've been home, like in one place. Is that the same for you? And if so, what has been some of your self-reflections during the pandemic?
Yo, yeah, like, yeah, this is the most I've been home because I travel, like, before. I travel a lot. Like, I'm talking about, like, at least 2 to 3 weekends a month I'm getting on a plane usually. I got on a plane for the first time in like 6 months last week. And it's been like, you know, getting closer with my family. You know what I'm saying? Getting closer with my kids, learning them differently, because during the day I'm not with them. They in school, they doing their activities. I'm not with them. My reflection has really been to, like, really scoop to get my mind together. You know what I mean? To really have my mind right, because it's like I'm a leader. You know what I mean? I say that before I say a boss. I'm a leader. It's people I lead. It's people that depend on me. Like, I run a company, not just my own company, but I run a label. I got to be responsible for all these other things. I'm really, like, my mindset has really been on legacy and positioning my children. You know what I mean? I got an 18-year-old daughter. It's in college. Got a 13-year-old son. I got an 8-year-old daughter. Like, I'm really about positioning their lives, because, like, in business, that's what everybody else do. You know, I don't got to say all that. Like, that's what they do. They make sure that they're in positions so that they can take, like, not specifically take care of their children, but they can position their children or position their families. Bro, I'm 37. I'm thinking about being a grandfather one day, right now. Like, that's real life. You know what I mean? That's real life for me. I got to think about these things because it's going to happen in the next 10 years. So I got to think about, you know, as a man, what am I, you know, how am I presenting myself? What am I doing for my community? What am I doing for the people that work with me? What am I doing for my family? That's been my mindset, because I never knew nothing like this was going to happen. You know?
No, that's real. What you hear certain indie artists, you hear certain people say the industry is shut down for the year.
That's a lie.
So you answered my first question. The second question is, how will the industry change when the new normal takes place and people can come outside again? What do you envision?
For the most part, I think it's gonna be very apprehensive. You know what I mean? It's gonna be very apprehensive because, like, you know, like, this pandemic situation is very real, and I think that even though there are people who are outside, there's a lot of people who aren't, and it's gonna take a lot of getting used to for people to just have normal interactions again. As far as, like, how the industry is gonna be, I feel like it can adjust back. Like, for the most part, the only thing that is not going on in the industry is, like, can't do shows for real. You know what I mean? But in touring. But other than that, artists is still getting signed. Like, somebody said to me, like, yeah, ain't nobody signing. I said, what? I sent out 2 deals this week. What are you talking about? People is definitely getting signed. You know what I'm saying? Like, music is still selling. It's not selling as much as it was before, because you gotta remember, people are not listening as much as they was before, due to them not being able to go to the gym, or everybody's not in their car there where they was. Everybody's not jogging like they were. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of different instances where people are playing music and streaming music, but it's still a lot of money to be made. It's still a lot of business to be handled. You know?
Wayno, who you got tonight? Lakers or Clippers?
Lakers, man. Come on. I bleed purple and gold. And that might sound crazy because I'm from Harlem and the Bronx, but Lakers is my team.
There you go.
Yeah,
there
man.
You go. How much money would it cost to see Jay and Nas in a versus battle?
Ain't no money. They got, man, you know how much money Jay-Z and Nas got? Duh, I spent a lot of time around Nas, man. Nas got, like, yo, they good. They don't, if they did something like that, it'd be purely for fun, because they love Swiss and they love Timberland, and it's, you know, they're all friends, you know, and they've done so much work together. And I think that that's what versus is truly about. You know, is really the epitome of relationships. You know, like Swiss Beats, he could call Snoop before versus, he could call him at any time. And DMX and Timberland and every and anybody we see on versus. So it's like, I think it's more about, you know, providing something for, you know, the culture that they could be proud of. This is legendary stuff. It's like Versus has become our powerhouse, our summer jam. You know what I mean? Like that. This is, and we get on them like twice a month. So, you know, this is what we have. And I think that like even now, they done went and got a bag off of it because it's on streaming platforms and all of that. But I think this is the reason why we do need to have unions and all these different things, because a person like Swiss Beats and Timberland creates a platform that I feel like this Versus thing can live forever.
What's been your favorite Versus so far?
Oh, easily Snoop Dogg and DMX. Easily Snoop Dogg and DMX. That and Snoop Dogg and DMX and Jadakiss and Fab. Those are the best ones for me.
Yeah. No, man, you definitely brought it home today.
Thank you, man.
You talked about the podcast. You talked about the business side.
Yes.
What's next?
Well, right now, I don't know if anybody paid attention, but the other day I posted I'm doing I joined forces with Audio Mac. You know, we're doing a playlist called the Tapped In Playlist. It's free. Every artist that ends up on the playlist is gonna get a verified account on Audio Mac. This is something that I hit Audio Mac up about. They didn't reach out to me. I reached out to them with the idea. It was fully transparent and fully open to it. It was just me taking my time and using my platform to say, you know, with everything that's going on, you know, I want to work with a company that could provide opportunities for these young up-and-coming brothers and sisters all over the world to be heard. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm taking submissions. That's why I'm in my studio today. Me and my son, we've been going over you know, the playlist. I picked about 7 songs so far. We're gonna reach out to all of the artists that make it, and we're gonna keep it going. You know, and I got other stuff that's going on, but you know, I haven't signed the deals yet, so I can't. You know what I mean? I can't disclose those yet. But I'm one thing I say about me, man, is that I adapt, and then I'm gonna be here to stay. I'm not going nowhere. Everyday Struggle is gonna be here. Wayno's the podcast is gonna be here. I'm working on some dope content ideas. You know, hopefully, you know, every time we and you come together, we do dope content. You know, so hopefully we could do this again. I'm not going nowhere. Like for real, not going nowhere.
We got official Rap Snacks in the comments. Look at how far hip hop is taking us.
Listen, man, shout out to Rap Snacks. Rap Snacks keeping my kids laced. They send us a bunch of chips and noodles and all that. You know what I mean? Every month. Rap Snacks. You know what I mean? My man Rory over there, he be looking out for me. You know what I mean?
Last question.
Yeah, let's go.
I have not posted this yet, so the people who are on here are the first to know. I called you before this and I told you, so I'll tell everybody. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Master P will be on Instagram Live with me.
Yes.
You interviewed him recently.
Yes.
Any words of advice before I step in the ring with Master P?
Oh, man, Master P, man, yo, I'm so honored to say that I got a chance to work with Master P. I got a chance to interview Birdman. Like my life has been crazy, but what I will say about Master P, something that I wanted him to really delve into, Ghetto Dope. It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite albums. I hold Ghetto Dope right there with the infamous Mobb Deep. I hold it up there with Reasonable Doubt. I hold it up there with Life After Death, All Eyes on Me, Machiavelli. It Was Written, Illmatic, most of my favorite classic albums. And I just wanted to know what was his thought process with making that album, because I feel like, you know, they was putting out projects prior to that, but that album was the one that like really put No Limit on the map. And one of my homies, he was from Arizona. Well, he was staying in Arizona for a summer. He brought that shit back to Harlem. Like, yo, you gotta listen to this. That's how I got up on it. So I always wanted to know, like, what was the mindset and the thought process when he made Ghetto Dope. So if you could get that out of him, please, Scoop. I need that, man. He ain't give me that the other day. I need that.
I'm taking cues from the interview master, Mr. Wayno. I appreciate that.
Oh, man, I'm growing, man. I'm still growing, man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
No
sir.
doubt.
Well, I appreciate you. Keep doing your thing, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for letting me use your platform. For real.
Love, man. I'll talk to you later.
Peace, brother.
Peace.